Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm Jen and this is Farabee, and today we're going to talk to you about the difference between Fluent Pet buttons and Learning Resources buttons. So I want to talk to you guys about the difference between Learning Resources buttons and Fluent Pet buttons. So you can see automatically there's a pretty big difference, but I just want to kind of go over my experience with both of them. So immediately you can tell there's a huge size difference in the buttons. So these are quite a bit smaller. These are the Fluent Pet buttons, and these are obviously a lot bigger, and they're the Learning Resources buttons. There's also a really big difference in sound quality, the pressure it takes to press the buttons, different things like that. So it's harder to press the Learning Resources buttons. Neither are really difficult to press, but your dog actually has to push on this. So if you have a little bitty dog, or maybe you have a cat, or even a bird, the pressure that it's going to take for them to push this is going to be a lot more than it's going to be for the Fluent Pet buttons. So sound quality is totally different for them. I'm going to press this one first, and then I'm going to press this one. And you see they both say walk. You can hear this one actually says walk. It's more crisp, and this one it sounds like wah. So whenever you're recording the Fluent Pet buttons, there's actually a toggle switch. So you toggle this, you press it, and you record. For this one, there's just a button. So whenever you press this button, you record. The problem with that is your dog can accidentally press this button when they don't mean to, and then it will erase the button. That's frustrating. Also, with these buttons, I've noticed a lot of times it takes me 3 or 4, or maybe even more times to record and get the word to sound right, because like I said, they're a little bit, not as great. So it's a lot more difficult to get the button recorded correctly again. Obviously there is a difference in the size as well. I prefer the smaller ones. I think they're just a better look. All of the Fluent Pet buttons are teal with a white top, so it is kind of a more cohesive look. So if you're a person who has buttons for your dog and they're scattered all about your house, you probably don't necessarily care how cohesive the color scheme is, but I think that's important. So with the Learning Resources buttons, they come 4 to a pack, and each button is a different color. So you're always gonna have kind of a colorful theme with that, which kind of doesn't necessarily matter, but maybe it does. So the Fluent Pet buttons do come with a pictogram sticker sheet, so you can put pictures on them. The Learning Resources buttons do not. I just printed these off myself. So the Fluent Pet buttons pictogram stickers, they're actually a smooth texture, and they're a lot harder for your dog to damage than the ones I just printed out. So you obviously could, if you had like a Cricut or something, you could print these and make them nicer. I just used like an Avery dot label and printed them out. So they're not the best quality on here, but it served the purpose while I was using it. Another thing I want to point out is the Fluent Pet buttons do come with these tiles, and you can get these in a soft tile, which is what I'm showing here. You can also get them in a hard tile, and these pop out, and then you just push the button in there and it stays in place. They do make larger tiles as well to fit the Learning Resources buttons. If maybe you already have Learning Resources buttons and you need to get some tiles, to start moving over to a Fluent Pet system, you could definitely do that. Whenever you put the button on the board, it does change the sound a little bit. So you can hear it dampens the sound. So it does dampen the sound a little bit, and also it makes these even more muffled. It's nothing to do with the board. It's just to do with whenever you have this button down. If you can see, there's not a lot of clearance. I'll see if I can zoom in on this and show you guys. So part of the reason these buttons are louder whenever they're on the board or on the ground is because the feet are a little bit taller. So I don't know if you can tell, but the feet on the Learning Resources buttons are about half the height. Also, you can really see how big the buttons are compared to each other whenever I have them out like this. So they take up a lot less space. So the Fluent Pet buttons are actually made for animals. So they're a lot easier to press, they're smaller. I feel like those are mainly the main things that make them different. Obviously the sound quality is better, but like I said, I don't know that your dog really cares about that. As a human, these are more pleasing to hear. And if you're maybe not watching your dog as they're pressing buttons, it's a lot easier to understand what they pressed. If you're, let's say, 15, 20 feet away and you can't exactly see, you can actually hear the Fluent Pet buttons well enough to know what they said. So just for example, her button board lives over here, and right over here is my living room. So if she's over here on her button board asking for something and I'm in the living room and I have my back facing with the learning resources buttons, sometimes I can't hear what she's asking for because walk kind of sounds like ball, for example. So those are two that kind of get muffled. If she says walk or ball, it's like, what did you say? Where the Fluent Pet buttons, you really can hear clearly what they say. Like I said, I think these are the best choice. The only thing I didn't like about Fluent Pet in the beginning was they were shipping from their manufacturer. Now, from what I understand, they're shipping directly from their distribution center here in the US. So it's a lot faster to get your buttons and there's not that delay. That was the only thing I didn't like about the Fluent Pet buttons. So I can say after having them for a few months, it is worth the wait, even if you have to wait longer to get buttons. These buttons are just so much better than the learning resources buttons, in my opinion. So another thing I want to talk about is if you have maybe the learning resources buttons and you're moving to the Fluent Pet buttons, or maybe even vice versa. If you're doing that, there is a learning curve for your dog. Even if you put the buttons in the exact same place and lay them out in the exact same way, it still is a big learning curve for your dog. So if you're just now starting your button journey, I would recommend getting the buttons that maybe you think you want to stick with. So the reason we got the learning resource buttons first is because Fluent Pet wasn't even a company yet. Or if they were so baby brand new that no one knew about them and I hadn't heard of them. So I got these first because it was what was available. And whenever I saw these, I was like, wow, that's such a better idea because they're smaller and also they have these tiles that hook together. So that was all like a really big pull for me to switch her. But like I said, we did start with these big buttons because it was what was available to us, and you know, you kind of just use what you have. If you're just now starting your button journey with your dog, I would definitely say check these out. They do have small kits that have like 2 to 4 buttons or 2 to 5 buttons that you can check out. You don't have a huge commitment there financially if your dog doesn't want them. So something I feel like is appealing to people is you can get these on Amazon. They're, you know, if you have Amazon Prime, it's next day shipping or 2-day shipping, and they come in a 4-pack. And I know that is appealing, but keep in mind you do have to buy batteries for these. So after you buy batteries, you're in for about the same price as these buttons. They come with batteries, so that's awesome. So you're in for about the same as these after you buy batteries and everything. These do take longer than 2 days to get to you, but it's worth the wait. And the other cool thing with this is you can always build on this because these tiles interlock. So you can build and build and build with this no matter how far your dog goes. So these are really cool because they do attach to each other and your button does fit in here securely. So with these buttons, they just sit somewhere. I have put Velcro on the bottom of mine to try to hold them in place, and that did work. So I'm not gonna say it didn't work. It did work, but these just have a grid and it's a whole system and it just kind of works better. So like I said, Fluent Pet's the clear winner for us, and I just wanted to share that with you guys because I think a lot of you found us on maybe our shorts or something and you're like, wow, buttons, I don't really know what to do with that. You know, maybe you want some more information. So I'm gonna link both buttons below for you guys. I do have affiliate links for both. I have affiliate links for learning resources as well as Fluent Pet, but like I said, Fluent Pet is definitely the one that I would pick if I had to just restart everything, and they're the ones we're gonna use going forward. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any additional questions, definitely leave a comment for me below. I'm happy to help you if I can. If I don't have the answers, of course, maybe I know someone who does. So leave a comment if you have questions. I tried to cover everything, so I hope I was pretty thorough. So I'm gonna link a subscribe button up here. I'm gonna link a talking dog playlist here, and I'm going to link a video just for you right here. And we will see you soon. Bye guys.